we started off talking about curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity is not the thing that killed the cat. Curiosity is the thing that built the house where the cat lives and is fed. Curiosity, it's much better to be curious and be clever.
Yes,
I think
absolutely.
I fail-safe. That's what saved me.
Welcome once again, ladies and gentlemen, to the Adventures in Historyland YouTube channel. But this my Castle of Madness, as I have been wont to call it before. Today we are joined by a good friend of mine, a long-standing friend of mine, who lockdown has given me the opportunity to actually call and talk to as a human being and not an avatar on a Twitter screen. Chaz Mena.
Hey, how are you, Josh? How are you? I was making sure my phone was turned off.
Yes, that's a good idea. I should do that too, because we are a professional show.
Yeah. No, it's delightful. I think, to a great degree, when I first got into Twitter and social networking, I guess you would have to call it, I really didn't see it like that. I thought Twitter was a good way to find new books on a subject using hashtags and stuff like that. And it wasn't too long after I had written this one-person show for PBS, our bad copy of your BBC, which was phenomenal. I wrote this one-person show for PBS, and it was given a national broadcast and shown all over the States. And it's now online. You could see it someplace, and you had seen it, and then you had contacted me. So I owe that to you, and I want to thank you very much. And I forgot that because I didn't know anybody I think I had like 2 followers, and I was following 100 people. But from that, I've made really good friends. I mean, really true friends, and for which I'll be eternally grateful. So you were one of the catalysts in my social networking Twitter life, I guess you would have to say.
The invasion of Twitter.
Twitter life, yeah.
But yeah, that was, I was thinking back as well today, how it was around you had like when I came across you, I had just gone on one of my tangents, and I was just reading everything I could find on
the world. I do those all the time.
Online. If anybody. Yeah, this is a question I love to ask people, is like, is it just me, or do you have a goldfish brain when it comes to subjects, and it's just like every month or so, every week sometimes, it's like, oh, that looks interesting, I must read about that.
Well, no, I think you're blessed with that. The goldfish mind is a good thing to have, because it just says that you're very curious, and some people just aren't at all curious, at all. So much better is it to have to tell yourself, okay, focus, now I'm doing this, and tomorrow I've got to do that, I've got this deadline the day after, rather than just be led by the nose, which unfortunately I would say, I can only speak about my country. I adore your country, as you know. Mm-hmm. And whenever I go there, I never repine, because I'm a guest in your house whenever I go. But I can only speak about my country, that the majority of my American brethren are most certainly led by the nose, and feel that which is not tangential, and that which is not immediately monetizable, that gives you a return right now, today, tomorrow, or the next week, is frivolous or unnecessary. I think that's the very stuff of life. If you're not curious about any given subject, you're dead. I mean, I was a literature student. I was curious about the theater, and that was 25 years ago. And I ended up having a pretty good theatrical career in New York. I worked in off-Broadway, and I worked all over the United States, in the better anchor regional, which you call provincial. Mm-hmm. And I made a living as a New York actor. But it came out of just my reading Shavian plays when I was 18 and 19, and Oscar Wilde, and that resurgence of English theater in the late 19th century, which was phenomenal. Theater becomes important in order to codify a national identity, right? So that happens in the continent. That doesn't happen in England so much, because it has its own empire. It is the superpower of its time. It has a navy. It has a world presence. It has an empire which the sun never sets down on. So that is the national identity. But in smaller nations in Europe, theater was so important to tying in and codifying what the national identity was, that it started this push towards realism, which led to the founding of the Moscow Arts School, Moscow Arts Theater School, where Stanislavski began to create his grammar of acting. And all these terms that by now actors all over the world, by and large, still repair to. Been a lot of innovation, and that's another conversation. But the Moscow Arts Theater was a theater that, yes, created a grammar for the actor, but it was also a place where Russians could understand what it was to be Russian. And that's why Mikhail Chekhov was so important in the founding of that theater. And for that reason, he becomes a world phenomenon, Michael Chekhov. These 5 dramas he wrote, he didn't think it was going to be translated into 20 languages and performed up until today in Chekhov festivals. It was completely, his spectrum, his range, his wheelhouse was what makes us Russian. In a time of flux.
Absolutely.
All that to tell you that if you're not, we started off talking about curiosity.
Yeah.
Curiosity is not the thing that killed the cat. Curiosity is the thing that built the house where the cat lives and is fed. Curiosity, it's much better to be curious and be clever. I think
absolutely.
I fail-safe. That's what saved me. It's clever when I grew up, but I was sure as hell curious, and I've helped.
And that helps us to the audience. This vast audience will be obviously speaking to. This helps us to let me tell them that Chaz here, my correspondent, is a very talented actor and interpreter, and he has, as you said at the beginning, I came in touch with you through that, I believe it's the same PBS one person show that you wrote, which you were incredibly generous enough to send me.
Oh, I did send to you. That's right. I forgot.
And I still have the card you sent, the Colonial Williamsburg card as well, and it's nicely signed and everything like that. But yeah, I think you were live tweeting the Siege of Pensacola, and like as we were saying about curiosity, at that time I had just sort of been transfixed by this other part of the American Revolution that I knew nothing about, but I felt strangely connected to, because my family had spent a fair amount of my childhood going back and forth from the United Kingdom to the United States, and specifically Florida. And this Floridian part of the American Revolution.
That's right. We have a Florida connection.
We do. I mean, we went to we used to go to Tampa and Orlando. So I've not actually been to the South. You're in Miami, I believe.
Yeah, well, yes, Miami and Fort Myers Beach.
But yeah, that's how I saw this. I was just sort of on Twitter one day, and I saw this retweet from somebody about the Siege of Pensacola, and I'm like, oh my goodness, somebody is tweeting about the Siege of Pensacola. And I followed the tweets. I retweeted most of them, and we started talking to each other. And a little later, I watched Dios Hello, and and I was it's just so nice to when just one of those fortunate accidents on Twitter, why it's a nice place for people interested in history, because sometimes you'll just stumble over nice accidents like that, which lead to videos like this.
Yes, indeed. No, and I think this is the first time we've spoken face en face, right?
I think so, yeah.
It just seems like we're old friends, isn't it?
It does, actually. It does a lot. I might say, I think I could say that of all the people I've come across on Twitter and known, you would be one of the most sincere. Yeah, sure, yeah. Obnoxious that I've ever met. No. And for that, I love you. I love you like a brother. No, because brothers are obnoxious to each other.
Thank
But
you very much.
but no, I would say that but you are. I consider you a proper friend on the internet.
Well, right on. Same
And
here. Same out. And you've enriched a lot of people's lives with your programs and again your curiosity. Your curiosity. And I went frightfully tangential earlier on, but it is much more important to be curious and well read because one follows the other. Better to be curious. If you're not curious, you will not be well read. If you're not curious, you shan't learn. And you can't teach curiosity, can you? You can't.
I don't think so. No. I mean, you can be inspired to be curious, I think.
Right. I think that's the beginning of learning.
Yeah.
So I don't think you can teach curiosity. I think you can offer a curious environment.
Curiosity is everything. When it certainly, pretty much with everything, really.
Yeah, well, hold on to that for the rest of your life because it makes all the difference. But always, yes, it's good to be curious. But let's look at that sentence. It's good for you to be curious because the way that you exercise your curiosity is different to the way I exercise it. So there's an element of subjectivity, which I have found and my bag was English literature, right? British Isles, 18th to 19th century. And there is something of the necessity for subjective observation in the British people that I admire, and I think that we've inherited in the States, that you can say was somewhat compromised by evangelism, right, of late. Certainly, you could say no two blades of grass are the same, just as human beings. And I think, may I dare say, use his name. God made a subjective being in order to relate to his or her environment. Yes. I can because I'm not a believer, but I respect with all my heart people who are born with faith because I just simply wasn't born with it. I think you're.
No, I get it. I understand where you're coming from because my view of how I live my life in regards to God is different to how a lot of Christians do as well.
As it should be, I think.
Indeed. Yes, absolutely. And other people's religions as well, how they interpret God is very much
as a person of faith, right?
Yeah,
shouldn't that be your job?
Absolutely. And what you were saying about the complexity of the natural world. If you are a person of faith, if you believe in a higher power that created the world, how can you not look at the variety of that creation?
That's right.
And not feel that it was put there, therefore, for you to be curious about.
And to praise.
Indeed.
Yeah. Manly Hopkins has a wonderful poem about that. Do you mind if I fit out a second? Is that all right?
Yeah, carry on.
Here, I need you to vamp, so keep talking.
Okay. And so, if you look back in history, institutionalized Christianity has been a rocky road from its beginnings.
Yes,
from its beginnings as a minority religion, a pacifist religion, love thy brother, turn the other cheek. A
scandalous religion.
Yes, absolutely. A heretic religion.
Of Augustan, empire to say, you hold no power over me, only the Heavenly Father does.
Exactly.
Saying that.
Not even in death. That means I do not fear you. I don't respect you.
To say that to a Roman constable or or what have you.
If you read the outrage in things like however you pronounce his name, Tacitus or Tacitus.
I remember this. Yeah.
Or Pliny the Younger and things like that. The outrage they feel for the Christian religion is is remarkable to see for that reason.
I want to live in a republic where everybody is allowed to practice their creed and believe in what have you. But as long as it doesn't, as Jefferson said, break my bones or steal from my pocket, right? But the point is that something happens when a religion becomes an official creed of a political institution.
Yes.
That's been the down. In my view, in my humble view, as an admirer of the sayings of Jesus Christ, that's been its downfall. In my view,
yes, I think it's absolutely fair to say. I think that makes a lot of sense. Because when you interlace something like that into the organ of state, it requires new incentives rather than you personally working out with, as St. Paul said, fear and trembling, your own humanity and soul and your path to heaven. Essentially, it becomes politics, it becomes state, it becomes
status quo that has to be defended.
Exactly.
Yeah. And authorized and administered and given,
exactly.
Idols and
for Jesus, he was the door to God, not the Pope and not the Emperor.
Right. Absolutely.
So
not the Emperor, not the Pope, and not the deacon, and not the bishop, and what have you. Yeah. I found the poem Pied Beauty. Glory be to God for dappled things, for skies of couple color as a brinded cow, for rose mows all in stipple upon trout that swim, fresh fire coal, chestnut falls, finches' wings, landscape plotted and pieced, fold fallow and plough, and all trades their great tackle and trim, all things counter, original, spare, strange, whatever is fickle, feckled, who knows how, with swift, slow, sweet, sour, a dazzle dim. He fathers forth whose beauty is past change. Praise him. It's
chills.
Well, it's poor man is rocking in his grave right now. If you could hear me deliver, but it's in the minutia. In the minutia, there you shall find the grandeur. Listen, one of the most holiest moments I ever had. I'll share with you. I get a little bit emotional about it, and I'll try not to. But one of the most, I'll use the word holy, because I have felt Holy Communion with things, is I went to Evensong in Salisbury Cathedral a couple of years ago. And it was one of the, and I'm a grown man in my 50s, early 50s. Early, and I was.
You look fine. Okay.
Right on cue, Josh. Thank you. I was sitting in the choir pews, right, with the choir boys right in front of me, and I heard this Te Deum. And I looked up, and the light had shifted in such a way in that glorious cathedral that's virtually floating on a stream or a confluence of streams on water. And I just felt, I understand the line, and I heard an angel pass over, because the way the light was refracted by the stained glass, and the way it was coming down in a column of slant like that, and mixed with the glorious Te Deum of a child, that I was once a child like he, and he will be a man like me, and then the liturgy, and I was just so profoundly moved. And I suppose it's one of the reasons why I love Salisbury so much. In fact, I love it as a place on earth, right? But I feel like, my God, it's been a portal to this transcendental feeling I had as an adult. I've had a couple in my life. When my daughter was born, another one that I can't think of without fawning with the very majesty of it. The reason why we get choked up is because we don't have the words to really express this feeling that is too much, that we can't really down. Do you know what I mean?
You can explain many things biologically. You can explain many things through science, coldly and rationally, and things. But there are moments in life when you are so reduced to your own humanity, that there almost seems like there can be no other answer than a greater.
But yet it's more than just my humanity.
Absolutely.
It's yours. It's the people who built this cathedral, for heaven's sake. The generations.
And so all of that came down on you.
Yes.
Just as a subconscious thing, all of that suddenly, wham, like that.
Or quite consciously. I mean, I thought about the builders and their sons.
And it all flows through.
Yeah, that's it. One is a sieve.
Yeah.
A sieve. Yeah.
Nice one. I can remember standing.
I'm a sieve all the time. You're just a sieve.
Be a sieve. Be a sieve. Hashtag.
Hashtag be a sieve.
Yeah, I can remember standing on top of this large promontory of cliffs and looking out at the sea, and everything was just right. There was silence everywhere. There wasn't anybody around, and the light hit the water through the clouds, and it glistened in 100 different shades of white. And I heard the sound of the sea, and it sounded so huge that it was small. And I remembered the thing that little phrase in the Bible where it goes, "The sound of the Lord is the sound of many waters."
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful, Josh. That's wonderful. Where's that from? Is that from? It's Old Testament. Oh, yeah, the Psalms are wonderful.
Mm.
Oh, yeah, yeah. It's probably and the King James version is oh man, it's one long poem. It's probably the only that was ever made by a commission that works.
Yeah.
But just brilliant and the Psalms, the King James versions of the Psalms are just wow. A place to repair to, huh?
Yeah, always a place of refuge as a.
I've been reading a lot of. I don't know how you feel about this, but I really love. Yes, I was a good postmodernist and post-structuralist as a literature student, but in my middle age, I got to accept it. I'm a middle-aged man. My middle age, I've been going back and reading the modernists a lot, and I find great worth in rereading, and in some cases reading for the first time, Virginia Woolf's oeuvre. I reread Death of a Moth, for instance, which if you get a chance, it's a short meditation, maybe about 5 pages. I can't tell you how enriched an observation that is, and how far-reaching in what she suggests, what she's inferring, all of it coming in the few moments of a moth that's stuck between 2 windows, and it's fluttering, and then it just stops. And she finds something about, well, she finds not only she values this existential moment in her life and in the moths, and how that those 2 lives, in fact 2 lives, meet. But what does that say about our lives? It's applicable as an extended metaphor, but also it's pleasurable to read in her powers of observation that Virginia Woolf had. What? And she committed suicide. Of course we all know she moved into a river. She was a wonderful swimmer, and she's known as a swimmer. So I don't know how she had the courage to not take another.
Right. Yes.
But she was made ill by all the bombings during the Blitz. She was in the middle of this horrible war that must have seemed to her to be the apocalypse.
But it's true. Yeah, it's like what Tom Holland says in his book Dominion about the Christianity and the workings of the Western mind. You can't escape.
On Kindle, and I haven't read.
Yeah, you can't escape from the fact that a lot of how you interpret the world is through is informed, at least, by Christianity. So when people just in everyday life will use bandy about words like the apocalypse and things like that, and obviously they'll call on God and Jesus many times. Without meaning.
The idea that there are no aliens, there's no atheist in the foxhole, right?
No.
I suppose the thing that I want to read about is to satisfy my own. Of course, I knew the premise of the book. That's why I bought it. and I love Tom Holland. I've read Rubicon, the Sword and the
Amazing,
Crest.
right?
No, he's like as his brother. I don't. What did those Holland boys have for breakfast? I mean, holy mackerel. Two age setting writers in one household. My lord. Well, like the Brontes, I guess.
Yeah.
I do want to have a question satisfied, and that's why I bought the book, because it was Tom Holland. But I have a vested interest in reading the book. Is that, surely Stoicism had to influence Christianity, not the other way around.
Interesting question. I'm sure he would.
What certainly in the Neoplatonists had a lot to do. I'm assuming, right? I mean, that's because if one can't escape one's environment, then once Christianity becomes the state religion on the scene, it had to make its peace with these other traditions.
Oh, absolutely.
So that's what I want to satisfy myself in.
Well, yeah, I mean, as a complete sort of layperson in this sort of field, I mean, you can make this superficial observation quite simply with the Roman system of Christianity and the iconography. In popular imagination, God sits on a cloud and dispenses lightning bolts, and he has a big beard. Right. That's Zeus, and that's Zeus.
I mean, my question is very simple. Before St. Paul came on the scene, there was Lucretius, and the order of things, right? So how did those two make peace, and how did those two communicate? Clearly, they must have. So that's a wonderful read. The order of things. I believe that's in the order.
This is a great list of interesting books for people to people to be curious about, I think. And
come back to the word of the day, curiosity.
Yes, curiosity. This will probably be the title of this video. And that's what led me to meet you on Twitter, as I said, because of my curiosity to find out about the Spanish side of the American Revolution.
You must take a trip to Pensacola. And there's a wonderful historic district there that when you go in there, you believe that you're in Georgian, or I should say in Georgian colonial society.
Yeah.
After all, we were 80. Great colonial architecture, Georgian architecture. But it was such a different and I think salutable air to Florida, to have these clean lines and as opposed to the. I mean, it's a question of taste, Yeah. But if you go to Pensacola, you see these two lines. Because the British only had Florida for and they were two Floridas, right? They divided it.
East and West.
And you see the clash of the two architectural styles, the Spanish colonial Rococo, right, which is the Spanish Counter-Reformation gesture in architecture, and then the clean Georgian line. And you could be in the same town and see like these
brilliant
scrolls on the neo-colonial Catholic churches, and then you have a COE church down with a wooden base and a marble facade with the straight kind of neoclassical lines.
I'd very much like to visit Pensacola again and see the area around it, even if it's all built up now.
Six Flags area, they call it.
Yeah. But because I did visit it when I was much younger twice, and what year?
Am I asking?
Oh, good grief! It would have been the 90s.
Yeah. So then the Six Flags area, they call it Six Flags for the Six Flags that hung over Pensacola. That would be the Spanish Santiago flag. That would be the British flag, of course. And that would the Union Jack, in other words, which by then was after this, during the 7 Years' War, the latter end of the 7 Years' War had been institutionalized. And then you had you went back. You had I forgot. It was the French flag. The British flag. What am I missing? Help me out here.
U.S.
Well, yes, of course, for heaven's sake, the U.S. I should say the Confederate flag.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yes. Yes. But
That's
your
nice.
Confederate flag is not the stars and bars. That's really the Georgian battle flag that's been co-opted by the most hateful elements in the South.
Yeah, the flag, the cross, the Southern Cross is the
Georgia battle flag, or I think the battle flag in Northern Virginia, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
it is exactly.
But the actual, yeah. It's
And
been co-opted by racists and the KKK and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It's very flashy, and it was a northern, the flag.
It's
Northern
an attractive flag.
Full Confederate Army. It was the only real. Look, the Confederate Army was not good at all in the West, and it was abysmal in Texas. So, it was the high watermark of the Confederacy under the Northern Virginia Army that invades Pennsylvania, and that's where the Confederacy kind of gleans its. But really, it was a lost cause from the beginning. I mean, it was.
Yeah, I mean,
brilliant.
The chances of pulling it off was really slim.
Yeah. All the generalship went with Lee and the Grey Ghost.
Moresby.
Not Mosby.
Mosby.
No, the Grey.
Stewart.
Reb Stewart. Yeah. Jeb Stewart. Jeb Stewart was a brilliant man. He was just a brilliant cavalry, arguably the best we've ever had.
Better than Custer.
Well, actually, Custer bettered him.
That is true. That is true. On at Gettysburg, that's absolutely true. Fair to say.
1/3 of the same men.
Because I mean, if we could talk about the Civil War Cavalry, if we wanted to, for ages, because that's a fascinating subject of these Yankee and Reb Cavaliers. But it's like the Union Army of the Potomac Cavalry gets a bad rep, but they did.
Rightly so. I mean, it was.
Yeah, it's true. It took them ages to get a decent cavalry arm, for some reason.
Well, they went back to it was an American cavalry. They were aping handsets and French, corner mortarboard hats and they were aping the British cavalry, which was phenomenal from the Crimean War. But no, I mean that it doesn't apply in America. In America, there's like a lot of hills and dales, and you want a good revolver, and you want to be able to be a good rider, and that's how you fight. You may use, when you run out of that, then you grab the saber. But they had to admit that. It wasn't until they realized, hey, we're Americans. This is the way we do things.
And So all the brains of the Confederate Army was pretty much in the Army of Northern Virginia.
Right? Am I wrong in thinking that? I don't think so.
I would agree. I mean, from where I'm sitting, it seems that way. I think Sidney Johnson gets a bit of a good rap in the West, but he got killed at Shiloh. So
that's right. And he really didn't make I mean, once Ulysses Grant jumped from brigadier to major general out there. I mean, he didn't the general until he went. But I mean, he and Sherman. I mean, they really they set the standard for the. And then we can talk. You're right. We can talk about this all day.
Yeah, but the flag, the longest flag of the Confederacy is.
I think the stars. If I'm not mistaken, stars and bars are the bars that do that with the stars on it.
Is that what it is? I get confused by the names they all have.
Me too. The other one is just two stripes and aping the.
And there's the stainless banner.
Really?
As well, I think.
Is that, John?
Isn't it? Which is pretty much white. I'm trying to see if I have the. No, it's not around anyway.
Well, that I have to go to you for American history, and by the way, people should know this. You're brilliant, man, and you really. Yeah.
Well, you heard it here, guys. You heard it here.
So. Any publishers are listening, I could go on and on all day with you. I find you to be inquisitive, curious, talented, knowledgeable, and young, and a catch to all young ladies out there that are. I need to set you up here because once you come to Florida, you're going to be accosted. You will be besieged.
Okay.
that British accent. Are you kidding? All these girls from down there in Pensacola. Oh my God! Can you hear that? He's got an English accent. Oh my Lord.
The last time we went to Florida, I didn't get a lot of attention from the girls, I must say. So I must have gone to the wrong areas. You obviously know areas that I don't know about. But
Not
but
anymore.
what English people get is just, oh, I love your accent. I can
Oh,
listen to you
love
all day.
accent. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I have an accent. Oh yeah, oh, it sounds just so fine. It's just it's so special.
Exactly.
I have an accent.
What's fascinating about the American accent to a British person is that it sounds just so much cooler to our ear.
Oh my
I think.
goodness! And it's the complete inverse.
Mhm.
From, it's like when I speak in English, which was tutored to me. All right,
Mhm.
and I'm an actor, and I work on TV and film. You need to have what I'm speaking now, which is a natural. It's called broadcast American English.
Yeah.
Right. It's not Mid-Atlantic. It's got some touches of Mid-Atlantic. You don't say rake. You don't say rank. You say rank. Right.
Mhm.
It's
Yeah,
the age more open because they need to appeal to the whole continent, including Canada. Right.
Mhm.
So you want it to be neutral. So it's tempered. But when I first got to New York after grad school, right, and I was speaking like this, somebody from Brooklyn would say, "Geez, you got such an accent. Where are you from? Geez, I never heard that. Where are you from? What are you from, Canada or what?"
Yeah.
I have an accent. I have.
Well, that's exactly what happens to me.
Right.
Because my accent is, what is it called? Basically received pronunciation.
Yes, it is received pronunciation.
So I don't.
Oxford, Cambridge, and London.
Yeah, I don't have a regional accent. I can put some on. You know, I could sort of like the Yorkshire and stuff like that.
Do some Yorkshire.
Yeah, I can do a kind of I can do a kind of a slightly a slightly an intelligible Yorkshire, but there's a species of Yorkshire that's like that's just you can't understand it. Because I don't have a regional accent, people will say, "Where are you from?" Because I don't have the anything. You know, I have that kind of.
Well, you have a very pleasing way of speaking.
Oh,
but,
well, thank you very much. But yeah, the thing is that you can't place where I'm from.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right. You could be from Australia. So I could see how somebody.
Could I? Yeah.
You kind of sound like an Australian who's been in the States for a long time.
Yeah, could do.
Yeah.
I don't sound Scottish, but my family is partly Scottish.
Really?
Yeah. So I tried to do a fairly good Neil Oliver impression.
Wonderful. That would get you a lot of traction here. Josh, what's good is that you're hearing more and more, I guess now for a while, you've been hearing a lot more and more different regionalisms on the BBC, which is great because not everybody needs to talk like this, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, but I say on you. You know,
well, exactly, because this
which
accent,
you were in the 30s and 40s, right?
Absolutely. That's an amazing accent, but it's in itself. You know that. I don't talk like that. I have received pronunciation, but I don't do that. That's.
Yeah. Well, also, I should say that the microphones of the age only picked up about a third of your tone.
Okay.
So that's why it sounds like this.
Right.
Which is you all a fine day. You know, it's.
This is the BBC Home Service. And
home, and then you had that schwa.
Yeah.
You wouldn't say home. You would say home. Home. So wonderful. It's a wonderful exercise to do that. Josh, I've got to run along now.
Absolutely. So
I've got to my little girl.
Indeed. You must go and see the nipper. Give him my best regards.
I'm so privileged that you asked me to come on, and I hope people do listen to our conversation because you're a younger man than I am, but I say this from the bottom of my heart. If only I had your good head when I was your age. And you will hear.
I wish that I was half the Renaissance man that you are.
It's funny to say Renaissance, not Renaissance. Oh, wait a minute. I have to tell you something.
Okay.
Another thing that Salisbury brought into my life. I now regularly buy Marmite.
Of course.
which I have on whole wheat toast with a fried egg on top.
Okay.
Fine.
Right.
Fine.
Right. I am a person that is between both camps. So I know you say you either like it or hate it, but I've never had it.
You've never had Marmite?
I've never had Marmite.
When
You
I
are
have,
literally at this moment more English than I am.
well, I am a Brit wannabe. Everybody knows that. But you know, with the egg on top, you don't have to put salt in the egg. It's just it's got that salty bacon.
Okay.
It's so good.
Interesting. Interesting.
So good. You know, it's the age. It's the thing of empire. That and a bacon sandwich, you'll conquer in.
Yep,
You know.
that's the one. And so on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we thank you for sticking with us to this point in what we hope will be the first of many interesting conversations that we'll have. Please do all the things that you do if you like the video, and we will see you again the next time. So
Cheers.
that's